Okay. Playoffs, Parker. Man,
Here we go.
I don't know if it's just because like I'm living it and I'm in it right now, but I feel like I don't remember a time in recent history where I'm so invested in this last week of the game. Because of all that's going on. In particular, you have two teams, and I want to start here because this kind of informs everything we're going to talk about. The Tigers and the Mets, free fall. They just tripped. They're whatever you want to use. They've absolutely just wet the bed here. And
Yeah.
just to give people some context, the Tigers, okay, have 7 straight losses right now. Before the All-Star break, they were 59-38. They were solidly first in the AL Central. Since the All-Star break, the Tigers are 26-34. The Mets, prior to the All-Star break, 55-44. Since the All-Star break, also 26-34. Now, I I I don't know that we anticipated this much of a free fall for both of these teams when both of these teams we came into the season thinking they have a legitimate shot to not only win but run away with their division. What do you make of two teams collapsing like this?
I want to sit here and point out that you actually weren't telling the truth. The Tigers have not lost 7 straight games. They've lost 8 straight. They lost again today.
They just lost? Oh,
Yeah.
man, that's crazy.
It is crazy, man. This team, we were living in, it was the Tigers world. We're all just living in it. Like, it was
Oh, man.
like Tarek Skubal versus the world. It was, look at this young lineup. Torkelson's figuring it out. The return of Javi Baez. Everything looked like it was on the up and up for this Tigers roster. A Tigers roster that had really, really what everybody thought was overperformed last year. Maybe they did overperform because this year they came crashing down to earth like a team that it has a little bit of inexperience about them, like a team that doesn't quite know how to maintain a winning environment over the course of 162 games. And look, that is not necessarily the worst thing in the world, especially because this Tigers team is so young and they have so much room to grow. But man, like, we thought I had penciled them into the ALCS.
Yeah.
It was like Tigers and who? Tigers, Yankees, Tigers, Red Sox, Tigers, Blue Jays, whoever it was going to be, they were going to play in the ALCS and have to get past Detroit, probably in Detroit, to get to the World Series. And right now it's looking like they may not even make the wild card.
This is what I love about baseball because teams spend all offseason trying to win the numbers game, to be competitive, to put everything, basically in their corner to affect data, right? And the chance to win 162. However, when you get into the season, it is a crapshoot, truly. And we've seen examples of this over and over. And I look at the Guardians, like so many things need to happen for this Detroit Tigers team to do what they're doing or to do what they have done. I mean, they've had to fall off. The Guardians have had to go 9-1 in their last 10. Okay, guys, as we sit here, you just mentioned that they lost. They lost to the Guardians. The Guardians are now 1 game up in the AL Central. On September
They're
10th,
11-1 in their last 12.
Yes, the Guardians, Parker, on September 10th had I can't believe this, a 0.1% chance to go to the playoffs. Now it's 56.9%, and I'm sure it just went up because that was yesterday's number. Okay.
Yeah.
So wow. I mean, I'll put it in perspective. One more thing, because this blew my mind. I was looking into this deep dive because I'm just fascinated by this turnaround. And entering July 9th, okay, the Tigers had a 15.5 game lead on these Guardians on July 9th. Okay. And there was a point in there between July 9th and now when the Guardians went 1-19. 1-19. Make it make sense. That's crazy.
1-19 should not just like solidify your season as bad. It should absolutely 100% positively remove you from any playoff consideration whatsoever. And the craziest part about this is what else have the Guardians overcome? Suspension to Emmanuel Clase for a gambling affiliation of some sort. Emmanuel Clase is not pitching for this team right now, and for all intents and purposes over the last couple weeks, the Guardians have by far the best pitching in MLB. I want to point something out. There are currently, in the American League, 6 playoff teams or teams that hold playoff positions. In the National League, crazy, also 6 teams that are holding playoff positions. If the season were to end today, there are 12 teams making the playoffs. Of those 12, there is one team with a negative run differential. That team is the red hot, world beating Cleveland Guardians, who have a negative 2 run differential. I love run differential as a stat to determine who are the good teams and who are the bad teams. For instance, I think the Red Sox have severely underperformed to this point, and we all know that because they have a 114 run differential, plus 114. They are 114 runs better than the teams they have played. The best team in baseball has a 175 run differential, the Milwaukee Brewers. The projected win-loss record that appears on a lot of different sites is largely based on run differential. How many runs are you scoring versus the teams that you are playing against? The projected win-loss, the expected, I should say, win-loss for the Cleveland Guardians is 79 and 79. They are 86 and 72. They are incredibly outperforming their expectations. 7 games. That might not sound like a lot when you talk about 162 games, but if you win a division by 7 games, you ran away with that division. That division was sealed halfway through August if you win a division by 7 games. So that's the difference we're talking about now in expectations versus reality with a Cleveland Guardians team. Like I said, 11 and 1 in their last 12. Won again today. They won 10 straight, lost a game, and went straight back on another 2-game win streak against the Tigers, a Tigers team that they have overtaken in the division, a Tigers team that is 1-9 in their last 10, 8 straight losses, a Tigers team that if they don't get their act together, currently only holds a half-game lead for the final wild card.
Oh, goodness. Let's stop there for a second, Parker, because that's where I wanted to go. This is important here. When you look at the AL picture, okay, for the playoffs, we thought a couple days ago that the Houston Astros, for the first time in a long time, were going to miss the playoffs, and here they are because of the Tigers' demise. Find themselves a half game away, with the Tigers playing one more game against the Guardians, with Houston playing some games here against the A's. In a day or two, the Tigers may have played themselves out of a playoff spot. And if I'm a Tigers fan, I'm feeling so hard for them right now because this must be, in recent memory, one of the biggest downfalls of a team we've seen in half a season.
Yeah, no, this is insane. This is absolutely nuts. I can't believe what's happening. I do want to also point out, as we're talking about the AL playoff picture, the Blue Jays lost again tonight. The Red Sox won their second straight game against them. That puts the Toronto Blue Jays tied for first place in the AL East.
Wow.
With the New York Yankees.
And I think
now the Blue Jays have tiebreaker. The Blue Jays have the tiebreaker. And it's a little weird because I'm trying to look at this. It's a little weird because MLB.com currently, if you go to the wild card page, it says that the Yankees are in first place in the AL East for their standings, but I think it's because alphabetically N comes before T.
Correct. However, that may be an issue with MLB. They do fix it based on the tiebreaker. I don't think they did that yet, but yes, because if you go to their postseason kind of tracker, yes, they do get the tiebreaker. So
Right. Yeah, that's what I was saying. So on the standings page, it's a little wonky right now. But the Blue Jays currently do sit in first place, and that tiebreaker is huge. Because we're not playing a game 163 like we have in years past. We will be respecting tiebreakers in terms of the season series. And that means that the Blue Jays currently still do have, for all intents and purposes, sole possession of first place. Now that could change over the next 3 games. Let me look at the schedule here for the Yankees. I don't remember who they're playing. My internet's, of course, being very slow. So the Yankees are, I should know that. The Yankees are playing the White Sox. The Yankees play the White Sox tomorrow. And then they have 3 against the Orioles. Now, the Orioles, they're not world beaters and they're not playing spoiler like they have in the past, but they are capable of taking 2 games from the Yankees for sure, especially if it means that it's going to spoil their playoff hopes. So keep an eye on this AL East. The Yankees need a clean 1-game lead in order to win the division. So that means that if the Blue Jays, and I should have gone and looked and see who the Blue Jays are playing for the last few games of the season.
So the Blue Jays have a little bit of a tougher schedule. They are wrapping things up with Boston, and then they have the Rays, and I think the Rays are by far more formidable right now than the Orioles. I really think it's a coin flip between the Blue Jays and the Yankees. However, I will say, Yankees won tonight. They have the White Sox tomorrow. Odds are that's a win for the Yankees. They can take 2 of 3 from the Orioles easily. Whew. That gets interesting. We may be looking at
the Blue Jays need to win 3 of their next 4 games to really truly feel good about this division.
Like, we will be going down to the last day of the season potentially on this one.
Yeah, and that's for a division. That's not even for a wild card spot. Like this division looked solved at the beginning of August. It looked like the Blue Jays were going to run away with this division, and they have really, Chris Bassett went down with injury. They're hoping he's going to be back for the playoffs. And you just see the compounding effects of all these issues. And I do want to point out, too, that 7 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow against the Red Sox at home, 3 more games, all at home against the Rays. One of those games is a day game after a night game. So say what you want, but that type of thing will affect a team, especially a team that relies on people like Alejandro Kirk to catch as many games as he does. Alejandro Kirk got thrown out at first from right field to end the game today. So, I know that sounds ridiculous, but wear and tear adds up, especially on game 161 of 162. So,
well, and I'll throw one more thing. The thing in the Blue Jays corner is they're getting Anthony Santander back for these last 4 games. So that's huge.
Okay. That's big. That's big. What's he been? He hasn't really hit that well this year, has he? But it is a bat.
It is the bat. I mean, he has a pretty solid year. I don't think he's tearing the cover off the ball or anything, but from what I remember, he has been pretty solid. If we look at it here, let's see. So he is at
59 OPS plus.
Ooh, okay. What am I thinking? I must be thinking of. No, it can't be that bad, is it?
No, it's that bad. He's been very bad. He's hitting. Let's see. He's only had 184 at bats. Yeah, he's at 179, 273, 304. The guy you really want back is Bo Bichette. He's actually been the best hitter on the team this year.
He has been. So scratch that. We'll edit that out. Anthony Santander, boo-hoo, yay. Okay, whatever. Hopefully he just goes on a 4-game tear. Blue Jays will love that. Everyone's happy. Great. Okay.
Well, hopefully not. The Red Sox have officially been eliminated from the AL East contention. So honestly, I don't really give a crap who wins. I hope at this particular point in the way the teams are playing, I do hope that the Yankees, this sounds terrible for me to be saying, I hope the Yankees win the division because I want the Red Sox to play the Blue Jays, even if all 3 games are going to be at home. I would rather play the Blue Jays at home than the Yankees at home at this particular time in the season.
That's interesting. Yeah, you're probably right there. You're probably right. Wow. Well, that's going to get interesting in the AL. Really what we're watching there is just honestly that wild card at this point. Everything else seems pretty locked up. I have to go to my kitchen and get all the crow that I heated up for this episode because I was totally shitting on the Guardians for a while. And
yeah, you were mad.
Hardcore. And now I'm mad because Parker, they're like the Yankees for me, for the White Sox. They're like my White Sox Yankees. And I feel like every time I turn around, they're freaking there. I go to sleep at
Every
night.
year,
They're in the
man.
corner. Every year. And it just
At the
drives
beginning of
me
the season, do you
absolutely
remember both of us
nuts.
just being like, there's no way, not this year. They don't have the pitching, blah, blah,
No.
blah, blah, blah. Shane Bieber's coming back. They sold at the deadline. Like Shane
Correct.
Bieber was on the Guardians at the beginning of this season.
Oh man, I don't know, man. But I don't know. I do think we're gonna end up seeing the Guardians take this one away. I think we're gonna be talking about this season for the Guardians and the Tigers for a very, very long time. And I think next week we'll talk about who's got the juice, right? So talking about really these teams now that they're in next week, we're gonna be next time we record, they'll be like one game into the wild card series. And I want to talk about, do these teams have the juice to go to the World Series and win it? And I think we'll have an interesting Guardians conversation about that.
Yeah, God, this team, for my entire adult life, the Cleveland baseball franchise has just been the thorn in the side of every like AL East hopeful. I remember so many times them just waiting in a playoff series, ready to take on the Red Sox or ready to take on the Yankees, whoever's coming through the AL, and they play very good baseball in the playoffs, and they never are out of it. Like, I thought they were out of it. I should have known better. They were not out of it, and here they are, ready to do more damage in October.